Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to actually talk about social media and why today is considered the new cigarettes. To start off, I want you to picture the scenario that we're all probably a little too familiar with. You wake up in the morning to your alarm going off. You pick up your phone to swipe your alarm to turn it off. While you have your phone in your hands, you notice that you have notifications from the night before on your social media accounts. Notifications from apps like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe even YouTube or Reddit. You spend some time looking at those notifications. Some where people liked your posts, some where people were challenging your perspective. Later, you head to work or school while keeping your phone close by you so you don't miss those notifications on social media. So that way, you can stay on the loop of everything that is going on around you. People liking your posts or challenging you again, political views, funny memes, anything that's going on the internet, you are on top of it. To start off, social media was created to help us stay connected with our friends and our loved ones, and even stay connected with what's going on in the world. This is good. I know firsthand, when I was serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I lived in Argentina. So for me to stay in contact with my friends, I can't just simply pick up the phone and call someone. I actually have to go out, buy a prepaid phone card, which costs about $5 to maybe even $30 just to talk to someone that I wanted to talk to over there. Social media has enabled me to talk to my friends and the ones that I really cared about over there for free. I can even video chat them, I can IM them, I can do whatever I can to stay in contact with them for free. While this is good to stay in contact with my friends in Argentina and even my family that don't live in Utah, social media does have an ugly side to it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. How social media can be good and feel good at the time, but can take an effect on your body, very much like cigarettes do. So the first part that I wanted to bring up is how social media adds more stresses to our life. So the more time that we spend on social media, the more posts we submit in these social media apps, we are putting ourselves more and more at risk of taking added stress that our bodies don't need and our minds don't need as well. Billy Gordon addressed this as an article entitled "Social Media is Harmful to Your Brain and Relationships." He stated, "The perception of threat in the brain, the hippocampus, a memory area in the brain, continuously compares the external world and the brain's core belief of how the world should be. That core belief is determined by a combination of genetics, epigenetics, and the brain's structural and functional dynamics. This basic wiring is influenced by prenatal conditions and prenatal brain observations. If its environment and subsequently tailoring it to its functionality to survive according to those observations. When there is a discrepancy between the external world and the brain's core belief, a threat occurs. When a threat occurs, the hippocampus is signaled to the amygdala, which activates the HPA, or the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, initiating the stress response. This stress response begins with elevating blood pressure to move blood and oxygen to large limbs in preparation for the fight or flight response. Then glucose is released into the bloodstream for quick energy, followed by other processes. This stress response is a good thing if you are actually in an immediate threat and need to respond in that fight or flight response. However, when the stress response continuously activates due to a perceived threat through threats such as through social media, the surges in blood pressure become hypertension and cardiovascular diseases. Chronically elevated blood glucose levels become insulin resistant, diabetic, obesity, and various medical and physiological disorders that have been reliably associated with these conditions. Overreacting the stress response causes allostolic load when your body's protective mechanisms start doing damage from being overused. So when Gordon is talking about those allostolic load, he's referring to what happens to our bodies and the toll that our bodies take when they're chronically exposed to those stressors and those challenges of our daily lives. Challenges or stresses such as due dates at work, due dates at school for homework assignments. And I'd even say stresses that come from posting something on your social media and wanting to get so many likes, or worried that someone's going to try and rebuttal or have a negative feedback for you. Those stresses can take a toll on our body, like we were saying. And after a while, we start to get problems in our body. Things like high blood pressure, we start to gain weight due to the stress. And we can even start to develop heart diseases, and other complications that go along with chronic exposure to stress in our life. So let's put this into everyday application. Let's say that I post something on social media. People are going to like it. Not everyone's going to like it. But maybe someone out there is going to be extra spiteful and tell me you're a horrible person and I hate you for thinking this way, which I think honestly happens more than we like to admit. But this starts that fight or flight response in our bodies that Gordon was talking about. Our body is perceiving that comment as an immediate threat. And so that adrenaline is kicking into our bodies and putting that stress onto our body of a threat that doesn't even actually exist. It's a perceived threat that our mind sees and puts us immediately into that fight or flight response. Over time, these imaginary threats are going to start working through our bodies and start causing that damage that we were talking about. So that scenario was pretty dramatic and might not happen to all of us, or at least not all the time. But the other part that I want to talk about, and maybe it's something that we see a little bit too much and maybe even are a little bit too familiar with, is that people might not attack us personally, but will attack ourselves personally because we are comparing ourselves to others that we're following on social media. I ended up deleting my social media accounts because I caught myself in this scenario way too much and it was starting to affect my personal life. I started wondering, why the hell am I not going on vacations like my friends are? Why am I not doing these cool, epic things that my friends are? Why don't I have these cool gizmos and gadgets that my friends do? And that was starting to damage my self-image of myself. Brandy Neal, in her article, 7 Ways Social Media Changes Your Brain, according to science, while it can be beneficial in small doses, maintaining mostly online friends as opposed to IRL or in real life friends can have a negative impact on your mental health. A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology found that IRL or in real life interactions led to more positive feelings than online interactions. One of the reasons for this is because people tend to compare themselves to others on social media, like I was. This is damaging because people tend to present the best version of themselves online, which means that comparisons aren't based on reality. But Neil is stating that when we put ourselves on social media, we're putting only our best selves on there. I mean, I wouldn't put my weaknesses or like an ugly photo of myself or even show how poor I am on social media. I want people to only see the best part of me. So I'm going to brag about the most epic things in my life. I'm going to show the most epic pictures on my social media account. And many of us start to compare and compete against our friends that we have on those social media applications because we just don't want to be outdone, and we have that start to develop that poor self-image and just want to do something to make ourselves look better than those we're following on social media. So this competition that our mind creates to try and be better, to try and make our self-image look better, when deep down it's not really doing any of that, it's actually putting us further and further into a state of depression because we just can't get caught up. Unfortunately, I saw this firsthand in my life. I had a good friend who got so caught up in social media trying to be better than everyone else. He started having problems in his day-to-day life, and he started talking to his close friends on his social media network. And unfortunately, he got so caught up in all the toxic responses that his so-called friends were giving him. They were telling him awful things to do, like just end it all. It's not gonna matter in the end. Just end it because it'll all go away if you do that. And he ended up trying to commit suicide twice. And fortunately, he was able to get that help, get out of that situation, and talk to someone who could really help him, such as a therapist that was able to help him get out of that funk, that depression, and help him carry on with his life. In conclusion, social media was created with a good idea in mind. It was created to help us stay in contact with our friends and our family and people that we want to stay in contact with around the world that we can't normally contact on a day-to-day basis. But today we see too many people getting caught up in the ugly side of social media. Social media can cause extra stress in our lives that we don't need. And that stress will eventually lead up to long-term effects on our bodies, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and even heart disease. And we even get caught up in that ugly loop of comparing ourselves to other people when it's not necessary to do that. So we need to be careful with what we are doing and how we are participating on social media, or figure out if maybe we need to unplug from social media, much like I did.